Hey there, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Dean and I am super excited today to announce this new channel that I created. And the reason for it is that I just hit Diamond in League of Legends as a jungler. And I'm not going to stop there. My next goal is actually top 1%, which is around Diamond 2 here in Europe. But I had told myself that once I do hit that Diamond, I was going to start looking for people to coach and also create this channel as my way of sharing not just how I did it, but also how I approach my continual growth as a psychologist and a coach in training. Today, I want to talk about three things. One, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and my story. Then two, I'll explain what this channel is about and what sort of content you can expect from me. And then lastly, I'll briefly mention who this channel is for. So you'll get an immediate sense of whether you resonate with this channel. And if you do, then the invitation is obviously to go ahead and subscribe. Let's begin with that first topic, my story. And I want to take you back about 3 to 4 years ago. I was 23 at the time, and I had just decided to quit university because I really wasn't enjoying myself, and I wanted my job to be something I was truly passionate about. And at the time, the only real thing that I had always been passionate about was video games, and specifically League of Legends. So I decided I would give streaming and content creation a real shot, because honestly that would just be the dream, to have your job just be doing something you absolutely love. But unfortunately, I very quickly realized that I just couldn't perform at that same level as I could when I was, say, 18 years old. You know, back then I could play pretty much 24/7 and not have any issues with that. But here I was, 23 years old, and I was experiencing headaches in the morning. I couldn't play for more than just a couple of hours and then would be completely exhausted. And looking back at that now, I realize that I was just experiencing mental decline from aging, actually. 23 years old and I was getting old. And it was terrible. But I wasn't aging just like naturally. It was more caused by a longer period of just not taking care of my body, which was causing it to really just slow down. And that gave me kind of a wake-up call. So I started out with trying little things to improve my health. And when I felt the benefits of that, that sort of snowballed in all these other things. After a while, my brain just started coming back online. I was reading all these books at the time about health and about personal development and high performance. And that's where I discovered another true passion of mine in everything that has to do with becoming the best version of yourself. I also realized that if I could experience these benefits, other people could as well. So I really wanted to share the things I was learning. And so at the time I decided I wanted to be a professional coach. 2 years after quitting university, I decided to continue my training as a psychologist. I got my bachelor's degree, and then I decided to slow down my master's so I could get an internationally accredited human potential coach training, which has just started, and it's super interesting. And that's really where I'm scratching that itch of all those high performance tools. I'm also learning like the raw mechanical skills that a coach needs to have, and it's really interesting. I've already learned so much, and we've only just begun. So I now want to take it full circle and tell you guys how exactly all of that brings me here today. First of all, I want to be the kind of coach who doesn't just talk about stuff. No, I want to walk my talk, apply the things that I learn, and sort of show them to you that way. At the beginning of season 9, I found myself ready to put everything that I had learned in the last couple of years about high performance to the test, and I challenged myself to become a better League of Legends jungler than I had ever been before. And since my peak rank for the last couple of years has been that Platinum 1, Diamond just made perfect sense to me as a first goal. Since Diamond is also like top 4 or 5% here in Europe, it also qualifies me to coach a lot of you guys out there and to share my approach to the learning process, from the perspective of a coach and a psychologist in training. Now you know why I'm creating this channel. Let's now talk about what it's really about. In this channel, you can find 2 broad domains of content. The first is going to be the technical side of things. So this area of the channel is going to be almost exclusively for junglers out there. You can expect things like me doing my own replay analysis, and I'm not just going to be bombarding you with all my awesome plays. I'm actually going to have a very hard focus on a lot of the things that I do wrong, because I truly believe that if we could avoid making the same mistake twice or even 10 times, we would skyrocket across the ranks. Then another thing is I'm going to be doing some analysis of pro players, so we can sort of create a picture of what an exceptional jungler actually looks like, and then we can distill some of the principles that set these players apart, and then we can go ahead and master those principles for ourselves. And then there's also going to be some guides, maybe on some of the champions that I play, but mostly on exactly those principles that we've discovered, so that you will actually have a strategy to go about and practice them. And this is where I think I'll be adding some real value to the League of Legends community, because a lot of the principles are actually talked about, and I think I'll give the example of map awareness here. So everyone knows map awareness is important. Everybody's saying it. You know, Faker has great map awareness. If you can master map awareness, you'll be the next big Faker. But obviously there's a lot in between there that mostly goes unsaid. And I just want to go ahead and talk about how exactly are you going to practice in order to master that map awareness. You know, things like, when do you look at the map? When do you actually move the camera? What are you looking for? And how can you put that information to good use? So I really want to go that extra level of depth in there, so you can have a strategy to actually practice those fundamental principles. And then lastly, whenever I'm doing coaching and the person I'm coaching agrees with it, then I'll also be sharing that as content for you to learn from. So that's the technical side of things. And the second broad domain this channel is about is actually the mental game. And again, this is where I think I can add some real value to the community, because while it is talked about, I don't think it's talked about enough, and especially it's not talked about with enough depth. So very much like the principles we just talked about, people will go about and say, yeah, it's important not to tilt, but I'm going to go that one step further and lay out a strategy that you can actually use to go ahead and practice becoming more tilt proof. So I think that's really important. And the same goes for, training your focus, getting into your flow more consistently, changing limiting beliefs and attitudes, and, even taking care of your body and your health. And, there's just so much more in there that I just love to talk about. And I think this is important at all levels of play, but it becomes increasingly more important the higher you get, because at the highest level, everybody's technically proficient. And what really makes the difference here is going to be that mental game and how well you've prepared for it. That was a brief overview of what this channel is about. Now, lastly, let's talk about who this channel is for. Because as you may have noticed, this isn't going to be for everyone. This depth, it requires a certain level of commitment, And let's begin with saying who this channel is not for. It's not for those guys who just want to go into a game and prove how good they are, and just show off a little. And then when things don't go their way, they'll just be blaming everyone else. Those guys? This channel is not for them. No. This channel is, however, for those of you who are truly committed to growing, not just as a player in League of Legends, but also as a person in life. Because I truly believe that the things we'll be learning, especially in the mental side of things, are transferable skills that will support you in becoming a high-performance human being in every aspect of your life. So this channel is for those of you who are willing to take that journey with me to become the best version of ourselves. So if this resonates with you, I ask you today to make a decision. And the decision is simply to grow and to learn a little bit every single day from this day forward. That's it. And that's going to allow you to fulfill your true potential over the long run. And if you've made that decision here with me today, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you can tag along for the ride. So thank you so much for watching. I really look forward to seeing you again soon. And until then, keep up the good work.